I'll take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Oh, hey, thank you. Now, once again, we would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank each and every one of you, and all of you together collectively, who are participating in the co-creation of this transmission. Once again, each and every time you are willing to participate in this kind of communication, it forms not only a link and a bridge between your world, your frequency, your dimension, your reality, and ours, but also by creating such a link, it creates a new dimension, a new reality, a new vibration that will grow and change and become a space, become a reality in which we can one day both interact more and more directly. So we thank you for the co-creation of this new space, of this new reality in which we all shall together participate. Let us begin this day of your time, this transmission, by calling this communication permission slips. Let us talk about permission slips. What are permission slips? Well, the idea we would like to share with you this day of your time is that many times we hear in conversations with many of you questions and discussions of different kinds of tools, rituals, books, information. And we are often asked, does this tool work? What about this ritual? What is the best way to do this? What is the best way to do that? Now, we have often discussed, of course, the notion that for each and every one of you individually, because each and every one of you is a distinct signature vibration, that obviously whatever tool, ritual, idea, information you attract to yourself is, by definition, at that moment, the one that will work best for you. Because it is keyed, it is matched to your frequency. That's why you attracted it. So even if the very next day you attract something different, if it is that attraction, the product of the change in your frequency, and you trust the synchronicity of your life having brought that to you, then even if it is different than what you were doing the day before, it is at that moment the perfect tool for you, because you attracted it with your frequency, like vibration to like vibration. But in talking about all of these different techniques, tools, rituals, meditations, books, information, what have you, there is something very important to understand about all these things. Be they ideas or artifacts, doesn't matter. What they really simply are permission slips that you give to yourself to be who you are. The power does not exist in those objects, in those rituals. No real effect per se comes from them. Now, we understand, of course, that in physical reality, when something is crystallized in a physical way, of course it has its own attributes. Such things as crystals are obviously representative of certain kinds of energy patterns, yes. But nevertheless, the point is that regardless of what attribute the object or idea or technique or tool itself may have inherently, the idea is that it still doesn't really create any effect within you or do anything for you unless you choose to match the frequency of the idea it symbolizes for you. So you are generating the effect yourself out of your own energy, but what you are doing is you are relying on your belief system, which sometimes can be unconscious, to attract to you the symbol that best reflects the vibration within you. that will allow you permission to be yourself. We understand that many times some of the belief systems and ideas and definitions that you are brought up believing in on your planet will create certain notions and patterns within you that makes it seem as if you do not have the ability to be who you say you wish to be. That there are obstacles or challenges in your way that seem to prevent you sometimes, as we hear it from you, from really becoming the full person you wish to be, from really having the full passionate life you wish to have. This is not empirically true, but we understand that if you have a belief system that says it is that way, then for you it is true. Because even though there is no real empirical physical reality, your experience of physical reality is real. That is the only thing that is real. Experience is the reality, not the reality you think you're experiencing, just the experience itself. And when you gravitate toward, attract yourself to, or attract to you some particular idea of information, some particular technique of delivery, even including this idea of channeling, or some object such as a crystal or some book or some ritual or some meditation, all of those things are just a portion of yourself writing you a permission slip to let you finally be in a space that's safe for you to really express your abilities, to be more of who you are. The things themselves do nothing for you. You are doing it all. But if you feel you need an excuse to do it, a permission slip from the universe to do it, then that's what all of these tools and techniques are for. You attract what reflects the belief system within you that makes it seem as if the technique is giving you the ability to do what you want to do, but you're simply giving it to yourself. You are giving yourself permission through the symbol to be more of who you are. So please remember that when and if, at any time, you have a question in your head, what technique is the best for this? What tool should I use? All the things you're ever going to find, all the things you're ever going to have recommended to you, all the things you're ever going to be attracted to are really nothing more than a variation of a permission slip that you are giving to yourself to reveal to yourself, through the particular symbology of that slip, what kind of pattern exists, or what kind of belief system exists, or what kind of definition exists within your consciousness. And in knowing that, in going into the ritual, in using the tool or the technique with that in mind, you can empower yourself that much more rapidly, that much more powerfully, that much more thoroughly by recognizing that even though you may feel at this moment that you need that tool, need that technique in order to have what you want, in order to be who you wish to be, you can then now at this point understand it is you simply doing this by having given yourself permission to let it be all right in some kind of context that your belief system can relate to, so that you will remove any reason not to be yourself. Now, ultimately, you will understand that if this is what these things are, if they are nothing but permission slips, then certainly, as you grow, as you learn, as you expand, you will realize that any technique, any tool will work, will do the same thing, that they're all valid in that context, they're all equal, one is not better than another, and in general, you will also arrive at a point where you will realize that you don't really need them to simply make a change within yourself just because that's what you wish to do. You will simply shortcut the process, not need the technique, not need the tool. You will simply say, well, I'll just choose. I will just choose to be that way. I will just choose to be that state of being. I don't need any other tool, any other technique, other than the recognition that what I choose will be so. What I choose is up to me. And if I wish to attract a technique or tool to myself because I feel it is fun, because I feel it will give me a reason to do what I wish to do, be who I wish to be, well, all well and good, so be it. But knowing that will eventually eliminate the need for the tool itself. Because you are the primary tool, you are the primary technique. Now, we are going to cover more of the ideas I'm about to speak about in what you call tomorrow's transmission as well. But we're going to lay some foundations here and now for that. The next thing we would like to bring up in connection and in conjunction with this idea of permission slips is how to allow this concept to sink in more deeply and how to form a relationship more clearly and more consciously with what many of you have for a long time called your higher self. This mysterious higher self. Where is it? Don't know. Is he up there? Is she over there? Don't know. How high? This high? This high? Don't know. What is the higher self? Thank you. Let's address this. So you have some definitions to work with, which again are nothing but what? Permission slips. That's all we're delivering here. Everything we say, everything we deliver to you is nothing but another form of permission slip. Take which one works for you. The ones that don't work for you, let them be. Now, let's go into a little bit more detail. Higher self. All right. Most of you are familiar with the idea that you have a physical consciousness, a personality as a physical being that you relate to as yourself, so to speak. But then there is this mysterious idea of the higher self. Simply put, most of you understand, or at least intuit, that the so-called higher self, well, is relatively non-physical. Even more simply put, you could say that there is a vibrational frequency just above physical reality, just beyond physical reality, in which resides what you might refer to as a template for physical reality, or upon which you construct your physical experience. It is in that template level, just beyond the physical threshold, that the higher self exists. Now, please do not confuse the idea of higher self with oversoul or spirit or what have you. Higher self is a specific idea that is like a version of the person you are in physical reality, but a version that has a broader perspective, a broader point of view. It's like having a twin standing on a mountaintop while one is also standing in the valley. And they can communicate with each other. And the higher self can say, I see you walking down the road, and I see that there is, well, a little bit of a ditch up ahead, so if you walk this way and walk that way, you'll avoid it. And the one in the valley going, oh, thank you very much. This is, very simply put, the relationship between the two. It is you with a higher perspective, a broader perspective, a bigger picture, without the complications that can arise from the personality construct's belief system. So the higher self is like a guiding principle, a governing principle, so to speak, that is a part of your complex as a person, but is the non-physical component that acts as the conduit to even higher versions of your soul, of your being, of your spirit, but also acts as the intermediary between those higher levels and the physical personality construct, and can distill information from the higher spirit and soul over soul levels in a way that your personality can understand. So the higher self functions like a translator, taking the information from the higher levels and bringing it down to earth in a way that can communicate to the personality effectively. However, because of some of the belief systems that exist within the personality structure on your planet, there has been confusion as to exactly how to form a clear communication line to the higher self. So let's make something very, very clear. This may sound a little bit surprising, but that's all right. Surprises are good. There are 3 levels here in this idea. It might surprise you to know, as personality constructs, as physical minds, you do not conceive of any ideas. What do I mean? The personality does not conceive of concepts. It perceives concepts. It does not conceive them. Here are the 3 levels. The higher self conceives. The physical brain receives. The personality mind perceives. That's all it does. Any idea, any inspiration, any imagination you have ever had doesn't come from the physical mind portion of you. It comes from the higher self portion of you, through the receiver, the brain, and is translated by the brain into a vibration that the physical mind then perceives as a reflected reality. One more time, because this is crucial to understand. You don't conceive of any ideas as a physical mind. That's not what the physical mind is designed to do. It cannot create ideas. It can only perceive the result of an idea from the higher self. Now, this may sound at first somewhat limiting, but in fact, it's very, very freeing, because you can all stop thinking. You can all stop thinking you're in charge. You can all stop thinking you have to think of everything. You can all stop thinking that you're the one guiding the ship. You're not. You are just looking at the road. You're just experiencing the path that you, the whole you, is creating. But the reason you get into trouble, the reason you feel stuck as a physical mind, is because you've been taught to believe that the physical mind is the one coming up with all this stuff. And it's not. So when you try to manipulate it, it doesn't work, because the physical mind is not designed to actually create those concepts. It is only designed to perceive the effect of the creation of those concepts through the receiver, the physical brain. Now, here's also what happens. And again, this is an important distinction. Physical mind cannot perceive how something happens. It can only perceive how something happened. One more time. It's a very important distinction, and I'll explain. Physical mind does not have the capacity to perceive how something happens. It can only perceive how something happened. But because the physical mind thinks it's coming up with these things, it then takes what happened and assumes that that's how things happen. And it's not. It's only what happened that time. And it thinks, well, if I do that again, I can make this happen, I can make that happen. No. You might get some degree of repetitional success with that philosophy, but it will never go beyond the parameters of what you observed in that particular happenstance. Because what happened was designed to allow that particular thing to happen. And that particular thing doesn't necessarily require the same ingredients as something else. So when you may want something else to happen, when you may want to expand on what happened, you cannot use the same ingredients that made that happen, because then all you'll do is repeat the cycle and wonder why you're not getting anywhere. You have to allow the connection to your own higher self to be the one that will allow you to experience the reality that comes from the higher self, because the higher self is the only part of you that actually knows how things happen, because it's on the mountaintop. It has the broader perspective. It can see what's coming. It can orchestrate. You're in the valley as a physical being. From the physical perspective, your view is somewhat limited. But the idea is it doesn't matter. As we will discuss and point out, and as many of you have heard in The Secret, all you really need to do, to use the analogy they use of driving your car, is see the road just a few hundred feet ahead. You don't have to see the road all the way from your beginning to your destination. That's the higher self's point of view. So you don't have to know exactly how you're going to get there. All you need to know as the physical side of the personality mind is where you're at right now. The higher self will tell you, keep going. Turn left. Turn right. You're going to get there quicker this way. You're going to get there quicker that way. You need to stop for now. You need to take a rest. You need to take a bathroom break. Then get back in your car and keep going. That comes from the higher self portion of the total being that you are as a person, as a persona. But the physical mind aspect of the personality does not have the capacity to understand how things happen. So, stop trying to figure it out, because you never will as a physical person. Only as a higher self expression, when you are in communication and allowing that communication to occur, will you then be able to take advantage of knowing how it's going to happen, but the physical mind will not know how it's going to happen. This is using the invisible to your advantage. And this is why you talk about such things as, well, you just have to take it on faith. No, you don't. It's really about knowing and understanding the nature of your actual existence, understanding the structure of the relationship, understanding how it is you have arranged yourself as a consciousness, and then simply using it in the same way that you use a telephone, a light switch, or any other device. It's simply a matter of understanding the nature of it, and then taking advantage of using the nature of it, and using the power of the invisible, because it's very, very solid. Just because your physical mind can't perceive it, can't perceive the how of it, and how this is all happening, doesn't mean it cannot receive the benefit of how it's all happening. But in order to really do that as fully as you possibly can, you must drop the assertion and the assumption that the physical mind needs to know how everything works. Because it never, ever will. It's not designed to. And this allows you to lighten up your load, stop carrying so much baggage, stop trying to do your higher self's job, and just do your own. That's why so many of you are so tired when you are trying to do certain things in a certain way. It's because you're trying to do a job you weren't designed to do. That's exhausting. Stop. You were not hired to do that job. Your higher self already has the job, and it's working for you perfectly. Work with it. Work with it. Not against it, by trying to do the job it was designed to do. Just do the job you were designed to do, which is perceive what has happened and allow yourself to know that what has happened can be used by you to your advantage by maintaining positive meaning from your belief system into it. Allowing yourself to do that as physical mind is what will keep the communication lines open. Acting on your passion, acting on your excitement, always putting positive meaning into whatever happens is what will keep the lines open to your higher self to receive the communication, to know that you can take the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step, because whatever it is that does happen will always allow you to take the next step, no matter what it is, as long as you relate to it in the appropriate way as a physical mind, and don't attempt to relate to it in an inappropriate way as a higher mind yourself. Let the higher mind come through you and relate to it, but don't try to do the higher mind's job for it. It will always, always be difficult for you to do because you're not designed to do that. So again, higher self conceives. Physical brain receives. Physical mind perceives. That's it. That is the totality of your persona in physical reality, with this connection to the level just above, vibrationally just above, what you call solid and tangible reality. Now, of course, to your oversoul, to your spirit, the higher self is actually quite solid, quite physicalized, quite a bit more dense vibrationally than you are when you are on the higher spirit level, on the oversoul level. It is, again, just above what you call the frequency of physical reality. We will go into this, as we say, in more detail, in more depth, tomorrow of your time. Also, what we will go into in more depth and in more detail tomorrow of your time is the concept that we have talked about many times, and you have heard from other places many times, but which we will now deliver in a different way. The concept of the difference between state of being and circumstances. And again, this ties into what we are saying. In a nutshell, as you say, the idea is to understand, as we have said in other ways, that circumstances do not determine your state of being. Your state of being determines your circumstances. Now, what's key here, though, is to understand once again that because of the way the personality mind has been taught to think of its job, it will often hear that statement as, oh, well then, if I get into this state of being, I will create circumstances that will be exactly reflective of what I prefer. And if I don't see those, something's wrong. This is what must be avoided, is the assumption that circumstances, that the appearance of circumstances mean anything. Again, remember, they are neutral. It's what you put into them from the state of being you choose to be in that determines the effect of the state of being of your life, the quality of who you are, the level of your passion, not what the reflection looks like. So, taking this a step further, beyond the idea, beyond the mechanistic connective statement of it's not circumstances that determine your state of being, it's state of being that determines your circumstances. Taking it a step further, you could actually help break that connection that doesn't serve you by restating this idea in a more definitive way. Circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. Circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. Now listen to the way that translates in your language. Circumstances don't matter. Don't materialize things. Only your state of being matters, materializes things. So, Circumstances don't matter. Only, underline, 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 only your state of being matters. Big, fat, period. Exclamation point. Close quotes. Parentheses, brackets. We will also, tomorrow of your time, in that transmission, explain in far more detail the whole idea of the energy of the transformation on your planet, the rate of acceleration, and the different gradients within it. As we now approach what we have, and many others have, labeled as the threshold crossing, your year of 2012, where the leading edge of your consciousness will have reached critical mass. And in crossing that threshold, then from that point forward, can allow more opportunity for positive creation to occur. We will, having said that, discuss in finer detail what we mean by this wave of energy that reaches critical mass, and the different gradients that go along in it, and the consequences of existing in each of those gradients, so that you can see more clearly, and you can choose more clearly, if you wish to, how to ride the front leading edge of that transformational consciousness wave, instead of simply bobbing up and down in some of the eddies and currents that follow along in its wake. Because that's what a lot of you are doing. Just bobbing around in the currents in the wake of the leading edge of the consciousness wave. But you can ride the leading edge if you wish. So, in that context, we will explain how to ride that wave. Surf's up. Now, all the things we have said, all the things we will say, all the things we are saying, come together now, in this moment, in this transmission. And once again, we thank you for the opportunity to share this perspective with you. We now ask you, if you wish, to open up to sharing and more direct interaction with what you call your questions and discussions, if you wish.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good. I don't know which question I need to ask.
Oh, well, then sit down.
Let's see. So if you think that there's nothing outside that can affect us, is that true?
There is no outside for anything to come from. There is only within. Everything that you experience occurs within your consciousness. You understand that?
Okay.
There is nothing outside. There is no outside for anything to be in. There is nothing outside your consciousness.
Everything is in my consciousness.
Everything.
Within.
Oh. Everything.
Okay.
The only way you can have an experience of any kind is if you create that experience within your consciousness.
Like, for example,
Yes.
nature.
Nature.
Yeah, when I'm in nature,
Yes.
I feel good.
Yes.
Why is that?
Did she really ask that question? All right. Why is that?
Well, if nothing...
When I say there is nothing outside, I don't mean in the colloquial sense that there's nothing outside the building. Nature, however, to answer your question more directly, is by its very definition more in tune with the frequency of your natural self.
Right.
Therefore, you feel good because you are using nature as a permission slip to allow yourself to be more in touch with your natural vibration. And that always feels really good.
What I think, okay, I got it, but then how about anything negative outside? When I feel bad, something happens outside.
When you feel bad, it's because you believe that your relationship to that circumstance is defined in a negative way. Redefine your relationship to the circumstance, and you will not feel bad. I am not saying to ignore the feeling. You must acknowledge the feeling. All right, I feel bad. Why? What would I have to believe is true about my relationship to this situation in order for me to have this feeling? Because remember, all emotions, without exception, all emotions, all feelings only exist because there is a belief that exists first. You cannot have a feeling without having a definition or a belief first. So if you have a bad feeling, all right, acknowledge it. All right, I've got a bad feeling. So what? Now, I ask myself, do I prefer this feeling? Well, no. I would prefer something else. I would prefer to feel joyful. All right. So let me ask myself, why did I have this bad feeling? What brought this about? Well, I know that feelings come from beliefs. Oh, all right. So, what kind of a belief, the question goes, would I have to have about my relationship to the situation in order for me to have a bad feeling about it? That's how you begin the process of self-investigation and finding out what the definition is. And in finding out what the definition is and identifying it, you can then find out why you had it. And when you find out why you had it, you can let that go and change it for something else you would prefer as a belief. And when you change it for a belief you would prefer, then that belief will generate a feeling that you prefer, which will also generate thoughts that you prefer, which will also generate behavior that you prefer.
I tried that. I know you taught us that, but it's not that easy.
That's a belief.
Okay.
You see? So now the question is, why do I have a belief that says it's not that easy? You see, that's the next step. You can always take the question to the next level. If you find that you have tried it one way, as you say, and it doesn't seem to be working for you, look at the essence of what you're actually saying. What's the result? All right, the result that you're feeling is, this is difficult. It's not that easy. Very good. You've now arrived at another place where you have something to work with. So acknowledge it. All right, I acknowledge that I have a feeling it's difficult. I have a feeling it's not that easy. That must mean what? I have a belief that it's not easy. Why do I have that belief? And you can start the investigation again and keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that until you truly find the true fundamental foundational underlying belief that is generating all the other secondary level beliefs.
I think it's not a belief but an experience.
No. Your experience comes from your belief. I understand that you have experience in physical reality, and you can say, well, that happened to me, and so that's why I feel this way. But you see, you are simply putting, as you say, euphemistically, the cart before the horse. The way you've been taught to look at reality is making you think that that comes from the experience. But in fact, the experience first came from the belief. Now, once you have the experience may reinforce the belief, but it doesn't generate the belief. The belief generates the experience, which then by definition strengthens the belief, because all beliefs must, by definition, contain an element, a component that is a self-generating, self-fulfilling aspect. If beliefs did not make it seem as if no other beliefs were possible, you wouldn't be able to have that particular experience. So when you have a belief that generates an experience, the experience will then always have the capacity to reinforce the belief and make it seem to be the only thing that's true. But that's not true. You have to get to a point where you know it's not true, no matter how it feels, so that when something happens, you can recognize that the experience is not causing the belief, it's just reinforcing the belief. And that therefore the experience can be used to put you in touch with the belief that generated the experience to begin with. You follow me?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I kind of.
I think so.
Yeah.
Work with that.
Okay, I have a problem when my husband tells me to do that.
Why do you have a problem with it? And why are you defining it as a problem?
Well, because it comes from outside. Not
There is no outside. All the things you choose to feel, you choose to feel. Anyone could come up to you and say anything. You could still laugh, you know.
That's what he said. Someone slaps, even if someone slaps in my head, I still have to choose how I feel, how I feel.
But the point is, you're choosing, which means it's under your control. So if you are choosing to feel bad, you have to ask yourself, why would I choose that? And when you ask that kind of a question, it can put you in touch with the belief that makes you think that that's your only choice, when in fact you have many choices of how to feel and how to believe. So you have to find out why you're choosing what you're choosing. Up to you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
And we appreciate you as well. But the point is, you must learn to appreciate yourself more.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And are there any other questions?
What is enlightenment?
One moment. What happened to good day and hello?
Good day and hello.
Thank you.
This is my first time hearing you in person.
Oh, all right. It is our first time hearing you as well. Enlightenment, in the most simplest possible way I can state it, is simply the willingness to lighten up. All you have to do is lighten up on yourself, raise your frequency by doing so, and you will have a broader perspective that allows you to see that everything is connected, that everything is one. And it is fundamentally, to answer your question in the most direct way possible, fundamentally this attribute, the ability to recognize everything as one and apply that recognition in your life, that constitutes the experience most people on your planet refer to as enlightenment. Does that answer your question?
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you.